Do we really need another time management tool? Shouldn't we, with all the books we have on time management, with AI that should be managing this thing for us, shouldn't we be able to get everything we want from our time and do that without stress? Not even a little. 76% of knowledge workers experienced burnout in the last 12 months alone. Knowledge workers, that's people that are paid for what happens between their ears. That means most of you watching today likely experienced burnout in the last 12 months. Why is it this way? How did we get here? I want to reframe that this is not about time management. I actually want to change the way that you think about time so that you can get the results that you want and you can do it without overwhelm. My guess is you're here because you want to win at work and you want to win at home and you're really struggling to get both. Maybe it's impacting your relationship with your spouse or with your friends, or maybe it's impacting your health. Or maybe in your heart of hearts, you know you cannot sustain the results you've been getting. You are burning too bright. You feel like it's an impossible task. So much coming at you. Truly, your to-do list is infinite. Even if you checked all those items off your list, you would discover new problems that you would try to go solve. Why does it have to be this way? You should be able to win at work, and you should be able to win at home, and you should be able to get the results that you want without overwhelm. But how? How do I know you feel this way? Because I felt that way. And because the hundreds of leaders I've coached in the last few years through Time Boss have felt that exact same way. 10 years ago, I was a successful COO for early stage software companies. On the outside, you would have seen me smiling. You would have seen my team getting results. What you wouldn't have seen is the unending stress and overwhelm I was experiencing just to keep up, just to keep my head above water. At one point, the stress was so bad, I even lost my sense of smell for 6 months. 6 months, well before COVID. 3 months in, I thought it was never coming back. You see this picture here with my son and I. I actually burnt out on a Thursday night shortly after this. Called up my CEO and said, I can't do this anymore. And I put everything at risk. I put my family at risk. I was the sole provider. I put my team at risk. They needed me to show up. They needed me to keep delivering results. I put our investors at risk. I put our clients at risk. And ultimately, it was terrible for me. You don't want to burn out. Trust me, it is painful. I could not go on the way I was going on, but I also couldn't check out. I cared about my contribution. And my guess is if you're watching this, you care about your contribution as well. The problem was everywhere I looked, everyone was stuck in the same stress cycle. Nobody was winning at work and winning at home. Everyone I knew was overwhelmed in some way or another. The problem was I, like you, dramatically overestimate how much I can get done in a day. Cal Newport in his book Deep Work said that the average knowledge worker overestimates the work that he can get done in a day by over 20%. 20%. That means every knowledge worker every single day ends feeling like a failure. You see, when you plan like this, you have two options. You can either be excited about all that work you got done, or you look at those items that you didn't get done and you feel stress, right? Because those things, you care about those things. You care about the results or the relationships that those are associated to. And that causes you to feel fear. And what do we do when we feel fear? Fight or flight. If you're watching this, my guess is you're a fighter. My guess is you just keep working, right? Because you've got to get to those items. You care about the results. You care about the relationships. But that means you work later than you want to work. And that means you put your kids to bed or the night drags on and you open up your laptop and you keep working. And you wake up the next morning and you check your email or you skip your workout because you just got to get these items done. It's either that fight, right? Or flight, meaning you just are trying to get out of your head. You're finding your drug of choice. Maybe it's Netflix, maybe it's ice cream, maybe it's alcohol. Whatever it is, you're not solving the problem. You just want to be out of your head for a little bit. The challenge is you are now stuck in the stress cycle. We are taking those items that we didn't get done yesterday and we are shoving them into tomorrow, and you are running the same day over again. Two things that are not helpful for you. One, the items that remain on your list, you actually perform poorer. You do poorer work because you are now cognitively overloaded. There's too much going on and you are stuck in that stress cycle. And again, you end the day with more items to do than time to do it, and you are stuck in that stress hamster wheel. You are not solving the problem. What's important here is that you have to zoom out. You have to get out of today or this week and understand the impact this has on you over the long haul. Not only is it impacting the results that you want, right? You are actually doing poor work because of the amount of stress that you're experiencing. But do this long enough and it's going to damage your relationships. It's going to damage your health, just like it did with me. And ultimately, it's going to lead to burnout. You will risk burnout. And that's exactly what I experienced. As I mentioned, I wasn't willing to quit. I cared about my contribution and I wanted to stay in the game, but I had to figure out a way to do it without overwhelm. This began a 5-year process for me, hundreds of iterations, to figure out how can I get the results that I want and do it without overwhelm. I'm so happy to tell you that I solved it. And today, as we watch this video, I'm going to show you the exact recipe I use and the exact recipe hundreds of leaders just like you have used in implementing the Time Boss framework to get the results that they want and to do it without overwhelm. Today, Time Boss is the distillation of the framework I discovered. Hundreds of iterations, dozens of books, all of that boiled down to what you are going to learn today. You'll join hundreds of leaders that have learned the Time Boss framework in the last few years and have gotten these incredible results. Over a 30% jump in productivity. 4 hours back a week. Imagine what you could get done if you had 4 more hours back a week. And the thing I'm most proud of, 97% are experiencing more peace and less overwhelm on top of those results that they're getting. It is absolutely possible to get the results that you want and do it without overwhelm. How are we going to get there? So simple. You are going to learn the framework today, the exact framework I use to recover from that burnout that I mentioned and to get the results that I want without overwhelm. You're going to learn that today. I'm going to encourage you to put one item into practice, one thing. You don't have to fix everything today. I want you to pick one thing and change it. And I'm going to show you why that's going to be important later. And once you solve for that, my encouragement is to repeat it again next week. It's that easy. You can do this, and I'm excited to support you in the process. Okay, let's get into it. Today, I'm going to teach you from the perspective of your professional life, but here's the good news. The rules of time work everywhere. You could take this to your personal life as well if you really wanted to do that. The Time Boss framework is so simple. Let me show it to you. It begins with our one focus, your highest sustainable pace. But what does that mean? When we talk about getting anything you want, it begins with progress. Obviously, you have to take action to get results. The challenge is we often over-index on progress. And we will get the results that we want. We can white knuckle and make it happen, but it's not sustainable. And again, my guess is if you're here, you're feeling in your heart of hearts, you know it's not sustainable for you. You swing to the other side and you become focused on peace. And we say things like, no stress this year. I'm focused on me. I'm investing in me right now, right? And that's going to be sustainable. You are absolutely going to be able to sustain that, but you are not going to get the results that you want. And my guess, again, if you are here, it's because you care about your contribution, you care about your results, but you don't want it to cost what it's been costing you. This is my vision for you. This is where we talk about your high sustainable pace, where you can both get the results that you want and it's sustainable. I want you to think about this like distance running. Every distance runner knows I cannot sprint out the gate. I have to pace myself. They know that they cannot just over-index on progress. Now, at the same time, no distance runner wants to walk the marathon. That is boring. No one wants to do that. So what does the distance runner do? They find their highest sustainable pace, maximum pace to finish the race that they can sustain to get the results that they want. I want to impress upon you that time is the very exact same thing. So our focus is your highest sustainable pace. You will get the results that you want with an experience of life that you want when you operate at your highest sustainable pace. Hundreds of leaders just like you have done it, and I'm excited to show you how today. Who would benefit if you could get both peace and progress? Well, my guess is if you reflect on that, the answer that's going to come is everyone. You will show up more powerfully for your team and for your clients. You will show up more powerfully for your family if you had progress and peace. And ultimately, you will show up more powerfully for you, for your health, for your relationships, for your contribution, for the things you care about. You can get the results that you want, and you can do it without overwhelm. But highest sustainable pace isn't just a light switch that you flip. It's a set of habits that you have to learn and a set of tools that you need to help you along the way. And I'm about to show those to you. You can't decide midday on Tuesday that you're going to run at your high sustainable pace. You've got to have a plan for it. So you remember this, that story of stress, where you're constantly overestimating what you can get done in a day. This is what we want to transform. You're going to go from this to this. This is where the name Time Boss comes in. You are literally the boss of your future self. You are planning for them just like you would plan for an employee on your team. You want to set that individual up to be successful. You want them to run at their highest sustainable pace. Well, how do we do that? Let me show you. First, you are going to work within your actual capacity. And let me preview it for you. It is much less than you think it is, but that's actually a good thing. A fascinating thing happens when you get clear on your actual capacity. You will necessarily prioritize the highest impact tasks that are going to get you the results that you want. I'm going to show you how to do that today. We are also going to have a plan for reality. I don't know how you're going to get interrupted next week, but I guarantee you're going to get interrupted. So I want to show you how to have a plan for it. And then finally, you remember those items that kept you in the stress cycle before, that kept you working or caused you to check out, fight or flight. We are going to have a plan for those items so they do not become emotional anchors that are dragging you out of your day and out of your week. If you operate this way, if you work within your actual capacity, if you prioritize the items that are going to have the highest impact on the results that you want, you are going to make the progress that you want to make. And if you have buffer, if you have a plan for reality and you deal with the items that don't fit so they don't become those emotional anchors that drag you down, you are going to get peace. The 2 recipes for your highest sustainable pace. You do this for an employee and they will have an incredible week, fully focused, fully present, able to show up powerfully at work and at home. And the reality is you can do that for yourself as well. Let me introduce you to your time boss. It is you. And as your time boss, you are setting up your future self to run at your highest sustainable pace. Okay, what's next? Today, I'm going to show you that everything you want in this world, everything that you want professionally, can be boiled down to just 3 tasks. It's actually that simple, and I'm going to walk you through that. Once you're comfortable with that, I'm going to show you 3 tools that we are going to set up today to help you manage those tasks. Once you have your tools set up to hold your tasks, I'm going to show you the 2 simple habits you could start running today to help you move towards your highest sustainable pace. That is it. It's that simple. Here's what you're going to love about the Time Boss framework. Every individual piece can be implemented on its own and make a difference in your world. You don't have to do everything I'm going to show you today. Each step that we take will move you closer towards your highest sustainable pace. Will move you closer to getting the results that you want and doing it without overwhelm. Okay, let's get into the details of the framework, starting with just 3 tasks. You are a knowledge worker. You're paid for the work that happens between your ears. The challenge is this work feels infinite, like it's never going to stop. And post-COVID, we're at a point now where we can work anywhere and everywhere. Microsoft actually did a study on this and they called it the infinite workday. Look at this stat, 2 minutes. 2 minutes, the average knowledge worker is interrupted with an email, a meeting, or something distracting their attention. How could we possibly boil down all of this to just 3 tasks? Let me show you. The first of your 3 tasks are recurring tasks. These are items you are already doing on a recurring daily, weekly, monthly, etc. basis. When you spend time on any task, you are deciding that your very finite time is worth the value that that task is going to bring you. You can see some example recurring tasks here. These could be meetings where other humans are showing up to meet with you to make something happen. Or these could be activities that you do on your own every single day, every single week, every single month. Whatever it is, it's something where you have decided to trade time for value. The next type of task is a one-time task, a task that once you do it, it is done and you don't have to do it again. Here are some examples of one-time tasks just to get your juices flowing. These one-time tasks can be as short as 5 minutes and as long as a year or more. How could we have such a wide range? We're going to get into that later. But you're beginning to see we've got recurring tasks for those things we do regularly and one-time tasks for those things that we do just one time. Here's a test for you. If you filled your calendar with recurring and one-time tasks, what are the chances that it would go the exact way that you scheduled it? Pretty much 0. Why? Because of chaos, and the chaos is here to stay. What do we mean when we talk about chaos? We're talking about emails, phone calls, last-minute client meetings, requests from your team, last-minute meetings, tasks that you underestimate, the plumbing breaks, your kids get sick. You get the picture. There's chaos everywhere, and we cannot eliminate it. I've already mentioned, I don't know how you're going to get interrupted this week, but I guarantee you're going to get interrupted. This brings us to our 3rd type of task, unknown tasks, things that we can't predict. Urgent and important items that when they come up, we have got to deal with them. Otherwise, they're going to upend our plans. A lot of knowledge workers spend their entire day on unknown tasks, and maybe that's you. Maybe you can only work at night when it's quiet, because all day long you are simply putting out fires. You're simply dealing with all that chaos that we just mentioned. My guess is you don't want it to be that way, and I'm about to show you how to change it. So again, it's just 3 tasks, and these tasks are what fill your days. It is only one of these 3 things. Every role has a different breakdown of these 3 tasks in their day, and I'm going to show you later how to figure out that breakdown specifically for your role. Now that we've simplified to just the 3 tasks that run your world, we're going to take a look at the tools to manage those tasks. First, let's talk about why these tools are necessary. Here's the thing about undone tasks. Your brain thinks of them like the room next door is on fire. And if the room next door was on fire, you would either run and put it out or you would run out of the house. Why does it think this way? Because your brain is afraid if you don't deal with those undone tasks, it's going to hurt you or it's going to hurt someone that you care about. Again, it's that fear response, fight or flight. Now, one way to make the stress go away is to start checking items off of those lists. The problem is, as we've established, your to-do list is infinite. The average person has 121 items on their implicit or explicit to-do list all the time. You are never getting to the bottom of it. So if just checking off items on your list is the way you try to relieve your stress, you are never going to get there. I have great news for you. You can get relief without checking every single item off of your list. In deep work, Cal Newport quotes a study called Consider It Done that said that we don't actually have to check items off our list to feel relief. We just have to come up with what's called a commitment plan. Think of a commitment plan like a babysitter if you had kids. If you wanted to go on a date with your spouse, you don't have to keep watching your kids in order to feel relief. You would hire a babysitter, and that babysitter would take care of your kids, allowing you to be fully present on that date. That's exactly what a commitment plan is, simply for our tasks. And there are all kinds of commitment plans you can use, from your calendar to delegating to someone else. Even making the powerful choice to delete something from your list can serve as a commitment plan. This is a revolutionary discovery because it means you don't have to grind to the bottom of your list to feel relief. You simply need a plan that you are committed to, meaning you believe you will actually follow through and take care of that item in another way that doesn't require you simply to check that item off your list. The tools we get into are going to be full of commitment plans, and I will call them out along the way for you so you can see them. The net effect is you will be able to be fully present to the thing that is in front of you because you will have commitment plans for everything else, confident that it will not be lost. Okay, let's get into the tools. The Time Boss framework centers around your calendar, which probably makes sense when we're talking about time. Up until now, you have kept your task list and your calendar separate. Here's the reframe I want to give you. Your tasks want time, and your calendar is the expression of the time you have. We want your calendar to reflect reality and become a realistic plan you can run week in and week out. This means your calendar is going to become your to-do list, literally guiding your days and your weeks. This is where I want to introduce you to a big idea in the Time Boss world. Your time is cash, not credit. You see, up until now, people would come ask you for something and you would simply say yes without knowing, do you actually have enough time to fulfill it? Just like swiping that credit card and expecting your future self to figure out how to pay for the thing. And you see, this is bad for everyone. Maybe you've begun letting people down, you've been dropping balls, or maybe you're at the point where it's really costing you. You're simply trying to keep your head above water. And again, it's impacting your health, it's impacting your relationships, or maybe even it's impacting those results that you care so desperately about. It is no different than swiping a card to buy that TV, or buy that vacation, or buy whatever thing you keep buying, not actually knowing if you have the cash, and putting your future self in a position where they are now in credit debt, and they are simply making payments on interest, trying to stay ahead of the debt you've created for them. We do the exact same thing with time. This is why you have to pay with cash and not credit when it comes to your time. There's only so much time, and once it's budgeted out, that's it. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that today. Eventually, each of the 3 tasks are going to make it to your calendar. But before we do that, I want you to do 2 powerful actions to get your calendar to reflect reality. We've established that your time is cash and not credit. It's literally baked into our language about time. We spend time on things. I want you to spend time first on your personal priorities. I'm talking about workouts, dinner at home with family, mental break in the afternoon, actually taking a lunch away from your desk. What are the things that you've been skipping simply because you feel too busy? You see, we think of these personal priorities as things we'll get to if we have time. But think about a workout. When you get a workout in, it sets you up to be mentally and physically at your best the rest of the day. When you're home for dinner, when you spend time with your friends or family, you are emotionally anchoring yourself, strengthening your future self for what they have to do tomorrow, the rest of this week. When you take a break at lunch or in the afternoon, it's not laziness. It is recovery time to help you get a mental break and operate at your top form later in the day. Even further, your personal items are often the truest expression of your values. And when you continuously skip them because of work, it creates overwhelm because you are not living consistent with who you want to be. You can keep grinding, skipping the very things that give you life and call it sacrifice. Or you can start thinking of your personal priorities as lifelines, not luxuries. These are the things that are going to set you up for success to help you run at your highest sustainable pace. If this feels hard for you, just start with one personal priority on one day next week. And how do we do that? We're going to do that via calendar blocking. We are literally going to put an appointment on your calendar just like another human was showing up to meet with you, except this is going to be something specifically for you. Let me show you how to do that. Here today, we're looking at Google Calendar, but the same rules apply whether you're using Outlook's calendar, Apple Calendar, a paper calendar, it doesn't matter. So we're starting to move towards your calendar. And your calendar may look something like this, where it is full of things already. Or maybe it might be more open, where this is easier. It really depends on your world. What I'd encourage you to do, if it's full, simply click forward a week. What you'll notice is there's often less appointments when we click forward a week. Maybe you need to click forward another week. And my guess is you're going to see something like this, where the only thing on screen, the only thing on your calendar are your recurring activities that you already have scheduled for the most part. So let's start with a calendar like this. And let's say you just want to add in a single workout on Monday afternoon. How would you do that with calendar blocking? Well, you're simply going to come here, add it to your calendar, type workout, and save it. That's calendar blocking. It's that easy. Again, most of your calendar appointments up until now probably include another human, where you invited them or they invited you. It's something you're planning to show up to with someone else being there. I want you to simply add items that you are committed to for yourself. This is a commitment plan for a thing that you value, a personal priority that's going to be a lifeline for you, not a luxury. Here's why adding just one personal priority to one day next week is going to work. Because your brain is going to look at that and say it's easy. It's going to believe it can actually do it. And here's the value. You are developing experiential evidence that you can prioritize your personal priorities and not die, and actually still make the other items happen that you need to make happen. Do this for a week or two, and then add one more personal priority on one more day. Rinse and repeat that process. You see where we're going. We are adding in the lifelines that are going to help you get the results that you want and do it without overwhelm. Now notice what's happening. By adding items to your calendar, your available time is disappearing. This is real. We are working to get your calendar to match reality. Okay, we've got our personal priorities on the calendar. We're ready to add recurring tasks, right? Not yet. We've got one more item we've got to get there. If you're going to budget realistically for your family or for your business, you're not going to budget every last little item, right? No. You are going to save a buffer for a rainy day because you know things are going to happen. And it's no different with our time. We cannot perfectly predict the future. We've actually already established that the chaos is here to stay. Again, I don't know how you're going to get interrupted next week, but I guarantee you're going to get interrupted. And you might be saying, my whole world is interruptions. I get it. I absolutely live that. People tend to go to two extremes when it comes to calendar blocking. They either don't want to block anything because there's so many unknown tasks. There's so much chaos, right? Or they block every single thing because it feels fun and it feels powerful, but then they get really frustrated because it's not going to go like that. I think both of those strategies are a recipe for stress, frustration, and overwhelm. Instead, I want you to budget for unknown tasks. Literally, I want you to put it on your calendar. Why? Well, you're simply honoring the fact that it's very likely to happen. In Time Boss, we call this whirlwind time because it kind of feels like that, things flying around. And for a lot of us, maybe for you, it feels like this all the time. Your whole world feels like a whirlwind. But what we're trying to do is to focus this in to specific times that we're budgeting throughout your day. Let me show you how to do this. Okay, I'm gonna update my calendar, and you can see now I've got some personal items that I've added to my calendar, along with meetings that I already had scheduled there. So when it comes to adding whirlwind, the first thing I want to do is make a powerful choice about how much I am going to work next week. Now, that may seem like a very strange thing for you to say because you think, well, the work is the work. I just have to work. But the reality is we are always making a choice. We do choose to stop working at the end of the day. Maybe you're contractually obligated in your role to work a certain amount. However you get there, I just want you to make a powerful choice and we're going to visualize it. So let's say for me, I'm choosing to work 50 hours a week. Or on Monday, I'm choosing to work from 8 to 5. I'm just going to put it on my calendar so I can see it. Now, you don't have to do this every week, but I do encourage you to do this just to see what it looks like. So you can see here, I'm going to add this in and I'm going to say work. Now notice I put in that time and some of that time has already been taken by a recurring task. I already have a meeting here and by a personal priority that I added, my lunch. So I don't even have that full amount of time. Now, again, we're budgeting for unknown tasks. So how do we do that? Well, my encouragement with Whirlwind is that you add 10 to 40% of your day and your week as Whirlwind. And you might think that is so much time. You might feel tremendous resistance from that. But again, right now, you're probably letting even more of that into your world. So I said 10 to 40%. So how do we break that down? Well, really, it's about control. The more control you have of your time, the less whirlwind you need. And control isn't good or bad, it just is. For example, if you're in a customer-facing role or a team-facing role where you need to be available, it is a strategic priority for you to be available, you need more whirlwind. You need to plan for less. You need to budget more time to be available because that's your strategic priority. Whereas if you're not, if you have more control of your time, if you can decide hour by hour what you need to make happen, you need less whirlwind. So let me show you what this looks like. I'm going to add some whirlwind to my calendar. So when you add whirlwind, you're really just trying to architect your day. How might you like your day to go? Again, think of it like scheduling calendar appointments with other people. So I might add a little bit of whirlwind here in the morning. And I'm going to, just for our example purposes, I'm going to change the color so we can see it. And what I'm doing here is I'm going to come in at 8 and I might try to get a task done for that first hour. I might have some focus time at that point. Then I'm going to do some whirlwind. I'm going to focus again. And then I'm going to do another 30 minutes of whirlwind. And again, I'll change that color again just so we can see it. Now, you'll notice I've got a couple areas here where I can focus. What whirlwind is doing is whirlwind is compressing time where I'm going to be available to anything that's going on. And again, I'm going to show you a vision for this a little bit later about how it might look. And then I know I need to round out the day with some whirlwind. I need to make sure I have some whirlwind here at the end of the day just to deal with any requests that come up because things are going to come up all day long. So notice we've got whirlwind on the calendar now. We are literally budgeting for unknown tasks. We're creating a commitment plan for unknown tasks. So what's going to happen? So let's say I'm working at 8 a.m. and I'm trying to work on focus time. And let's say Steve on my team calls me and he says, hey, I got to talk to you today. I say, no problem. Can I call you after 3 o'clock? Now, up until now, I might just stop what I'm doing and switch off the task and talk to Steve. But what I've done is I am budgeting time for those unknown tasks. I'm creating a commitment plan for those unknown tasks that allows me to stay present to the priorities on my list, to the things that I actually want to focus on. We're going to get into all this later on when I show you an example. Now, a couple thoughts here. You're going to have days where you need every single second of whirlwind, every single second, maybe even more, right? That's reality. That's just how it works sometimes. And you're going to have days where you don't need that whirlwind. And then you get an opportunity. You get to ask the question, what is the best thing that I can do with my time? Right? Maybe it's one more item that you want to focus on that you didn't think you're going to be able to focus on. Or maybe you're grabbing an item from tomorrow and you're pulling it today. A magical thing happens when you do that. You will say to yourself, I am actually ahead of schedule instead of constantly feeling behind. Whirlwind might just change the way that you think about your day. Okay, your calendar is now realistic with Whirlwind. You've budgeted for those unknown tasks. And you have your personal priorities there that are going to be lifelines for you, that are going to give you the energy you need to make great work happen. It's time for us to start adding recurring tasks to the calendar. Recurring tasks are actually the only tasks that we are going to add directly to the calendar. Why? Well, again, as we've established, you've already decided to trade time for value. You've already committed to them. So we can put them to your calendar. We're actually going to spend your time on those items because you've already made the decision to do so. So on my calendar, let's say I have a portfolio of projects that I'm responsible for. And every week, without fail, even if it's not on my calendar, I'm spending an hour or two and I'm reviewing all of those projects to make sure I'm keeping everything ahead of me. My encouragement to you is you simply represent that on your calendar as a recurring task that you've already decided that you're committed to. So I might do something like this. I might add this here and say review active projects. And I'm going to make that task repeat using the tools here. Now today I'm showing you Google Calendar. You can do the same in Outlook. You can do the same in Apple Calendar. It's up to you. I'm going to have that repeat every single Wednesday. And I'll go ahead and save that now. Now, one objection I get is, well, if I put that on my calendar, what if someone else needs that time? Well, really, it's up to you. You have two options. One is you can simply move it. And in Time Boss, we call this time trading. I'm literally just dragging this item to a different part of the day. I'm not changing the fact that it's by priority. I'm simply deciding to just do it at a different time. By adding it to my calendar, I'm visualizing for myself that I've already made choices with my time. Remember, we are trying to help you work within your actual capacity. And the way that you will understand your capacity is your calendar. Another thing to point out is you actually have a lot of recurring tasks on your calendar already. They're simply called meetings. And a thought about meetings, really a meeting is simply a task that we do together, right? It's the same as any recurring task I'm doing on my own. We tend to have a value on meetings because other humans are showing up. What I want to encourage you is with these personal appointments that you're adding, where you are the only one showing up, I want you to treat it like the President of the United States is showing up. And you might say, well, I don't know about the current president. That's fine. You pick your president, but make it that important where you are going to show up and follow through. Another pushback I get is if I'm adding items to my calendar, I'm going to appear busy and people need to schedule time with me. That's fine. It's really up to you. So we have this review active projects here. Let's say come hell or high water, you need to review that active project at 8 a.m. That means you're busy. You should mark yourself at busy. But let's say that's something that can move. You can move it around. You can time trade like I showed you earlier. Well, on any task, if you edit it, and this is true in Outlook, this is true in Google Calendar, you can set yourself as busy or free. If you set yourself as busy, you're going to appear busy if someone tries to schedule with you. If you set yourself as free, they'll be able to book that time with you. Notice what's happening. You're adding recurring tasks to your calendar and your available time is depleting. This is real. We are getting your calendar to match reality. We are helping you understand your true capacity. Okay, we've got recurring tasks on your first tool, your calendar. It's time to move on to the next tool, your backlog. Your backlog is going to become the home for all of your one-time tasks. Now you may say, well, we put recurring tasks on the calendar. Why aren't we doing that with the backlog? Well, as we've already established, your to-do list is effectively infinite. And here's what you want. You actually want to be fully present to just one task at a time. You want to focus on one thing and be able to do it with your entire attention. The challenge is there are so many things that fill our brain all the time. The science would say that we can only hold 5 to 7 things in our active memory at a time. 5 to 7. How many of us have so many more than 5 to 7 things to do? So what does that cause us to do? First, that causes us to multitask because we are afraid if we don't multitask, if we go beyond that 5-7, we are going to forget about that item. And remember that fear, we're afraid that it's going to hurt us or someone that we care about if we don't multitask and work on it. The challenge is multitasking costs you 20 to 40% of your productive time. 20 to 40%, you already feel like you don't have time, right? And you're burning 20, 40% on it. But what are you going to do? So you start writing down either in journals or post-it notes. And you might look at those post-it notes and think I'm judging you. I am not. You are writing down on those post-it notes for a very rational reason. You know if you don't, you are going to forget. And that's going to hurt you or someone that you care about. We also have project management tools. Our tasks are everywhere. The challenge is this increases our fear. It increases the number of venues that are holding things that might hurt us or hurt someone that we care about. And it becomes really hard to know what to do next. In that environment, we often just start checking off the easiest things. Or we go to our email inbox and we just start grinding it down because that's a to-do list that we know how to accomplish. We're not actually working on the items that we really want to be working on. If you were to reflect on your week, is just doing the easy items or allowing yourself to be interrupted or just working through your email inbox, is that what you actually want to work on? No. This is why you need a backlog. So you have a single place for every one-time task that's going to compete for your time, where you can use the tools that I'm showing you to determine what are the things that are actually aligned to my goals and values that I should be spending time on. Where should you put your backlog? Well, you should put it in any single tool that you can commit to. And it probably is the tool that you're already using. You can use Microsoft To Do. You can use Google Tasks. You can use tools like Asana. You could use Monday, ClickUp. You could even use a paper journal. Again, the tool itself doesn't matter. What's most important is that you are committed to a single tool. Today, I'm going to be using Asana because, again, it is free. Anyone can go grab it. But if you're in Google or Microsoft or any other, feel free to stay there. Here's Asana. And you can see I have a single list called a backlog. Nothing special about it. You can create this in any tool that you have. What I'm going to do when it comes to my backlog is I'm simply trying to get the one-time tasks out of my head and into a system. I'm not really spending a lot of time making these pristine to-do items. I'm just trying to get them on paper. So I might do something like make sales calls and fix PTO policy. It stinks, right? Not a great to-do item, but I'm just getting it out of my head. And I might need to follow up on the leadership team meeting. And I might say, AI, what should I do about it? Right? These are big topics, but these are things that take up space in my brain and I'm not working on them, right? I don't know how to take a next step, but I'm thinking about them all the time. They're adding stress that make me feel like I'm not keeping up. I just want to get them into that single tool. And I might need to hire a new director role. And I might have projects. Let's say I have a project management tool for my company. It's okay to reference those projects. You don't have to migrate every task over here. We're simply trying to figure out what are my actual priorities. So I might do something like project. Maybe I'm responsible to launch a new website. I'll add that there as well. A common question I get is, well, can I just put these items straight to my calendar? You certainly can, but likely you have more to do than time to do it. So eventually you're going to fill that calendar. And again, the question is, are those the items that are going to get you the results that you want? You see, the value of the backlog, as we'll see in a second, it helps you understand what are your actual priorities and making sure you're getting the top priorities that are going to have the biggest impact on your goals and values to your calendar. I'm going to show you later how to use the 2 time boss habits to get the right items to your calendar that will advance your goals and values, and how to deal with the items that don't fit. Okay, we've got recurring tasks on the calendar. We've got one-time tasks in the backlog. Now we're going to find a home for unknown tasks, and that's going to go in a thing we call the parking lot. You see, up until now, if you got interrupted by an unknown task, you'd probably just work on it, right? Because you're afraid if I don't work on it, it's going to hurt me or it's going to hurt someone that I care about. Now remember, we've added whirlwind to our calendar. That's that budgeted time, the commitment plan for our unknown tasks. But not every item has to go into whirlwind. This is why I want you to park things in a parking lot when those unknown tasks come at you. From now on, when you get interrupted, I want you to add it to your parking lot. And then when whirlwind comes up, that's your time to work through that list, particularly the urgent and important items that have to happen today. Your parking lot can be as simple as a piece of paper. It could be an Asana list. It could be a Google Task list. It could be a Microsoft to-do list. What's most important is it's temporary. It's items you're going to add today, and you'll see later by the end of the day, you're going to clear that list out. So let me show you how this looks. We're here in Asana, and I've got a parking lot list created. You'll see it's just like the backlog. It's really just a list to hold items. So let's say if we go to our calendar, and I'm working on that active projects review. And as I mentioned earlier, Steve calls, and Steve needs to talk to me today. I'm going to say, no problem, Steve. Can I call you back after 3? And he says, yeah. I'm just going to add it to my parking lot. Call Steve after 3. Why does this work? Because I've created a commitment plan for unknown tasks. I have whirlwind on my calendar, and by adding it here to the parking lot, I know it's not lost. I'm not going to lose it. It's safe here. I know when whirlwind time comes up on my calendar, I can make the parking lot happen. That's why this works. It helps you quiet the fear for these unknown tasks to know that they're not going to get lost. Notice the opportunity here. There's only 3 places that tasks can live. They are either on your calendar, they're in your backlog, or they're in your parking lot. That's it. Not on Post-it notes, not on journals, not stuck in your head, not scribbled down on some random piece of paper, just those 3 tools. Later, I'm going to show you how a crazy sideways day is going to run using just these 3 tools. Okay, we've now established that your whole world is just those 3 tasks. And I've shown you the 3 tools to hold those 3 tasks that are going to help you run your day and your week. Now I want to show you the 2 habits that make all of this come together and drive you towards your highest sustainable pace. Why habits? Well, James Clear, in his incredible book, Atomic Habits, helped us understand the power of habits in our world. Habits are the things that we do automatically because we like the results that we give us. We have literally trained our brain to do those by default. James Clear shared this powerful quote: "We don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems." You can trade the word systems with habit here. So you may be realizing, as I'm sharing, that the way that you approach time is a set of habits. When you get interrupted by someone at work, do you stop what you're doing and automatically do whatever they ask of you? Or do you evaluate and decide, is this something I should actually work on? That is a habit. When you show up in the morning first thing, do you get to work on your highest priority, or do you simply open up your email and see what's coming at you? These are habits. You see, the results that you're currently getting and your current experience of life are a direct function of your habits. If you want to improve your results or you want to improve your experience of life, we have got to adjust your habits, and that's why we're focused on that. The good news is these habits are so simple. The weekly planning meeting is a 1-hour meeting where you are setting up your future self to be successful. You do this prior to the beginning of your work week. And the daily review meeting is a 15-minute meeting that happens at the end of each day that helps you stay committed to your plans and helps you shut down your day so you can go home and actually rest and recover. Let's start with the weekly planning meeting. First of all, why weekly? Well, your life is this week over and over and over again. If we can adjust your habits related to your weeks, we can directly influence your experience of life and the results that you're getting. When should you do your weekly planning meeting? Well, you should do it in the most emotionally free spot you have prior to the beginning of your work week. That might be Friday afternoon the week before, or Saturday morning or Sunday night. You have to find the time. The key is you want to do it before the bullets start flying, when you have the most emotional space to make good decisions to set your future self up for success. A solid weekly planning meeting can take as little as an hour. As you get started, it might take a little bit longer, and that's okay. When you were a kid, tying your shoes took a lot of time, and now you can do it without thinking. Again, we are trying to build the habit, so give yourself some grace as you get started. Okay, let's get into the agenda of the weekly planning meeting. It starts with reflecting on your week. You get into trouble when you stop paying attention and stop reflecting, and I'm going to show you the value of that. Then we dump what needs to be done. We're literally getting it out of our head and into a system. Next, we're going to decide what to do. What are our actual priorities that are aligned to our goals and values? Then we're going to decide how to do it. How do we break down those items in ways that our brain will actually want to accomplish that list and not just abandon itself to our email inbox? Then we're going to decide when to do it. When in our calendar that is now realistic, when are we going to make these things happen? Without fail, as we get items to our calendar, not all of it's going to fit. And that's where we have to decide what to do with what doesn't fit so they do not become emotional anchors that are dragging us out of our week all week long and robbing our ability to be present. Finally, commit to the plan. The weekly planning meeting is worthless if we're not actually committed to following through on the plan. The good news is we can actually increase our commitment through some specific activities that I'm going to show you today. Okay, let's jump into reflect on your week. As I mentioned, we get into trouble when we stop reflecting. As I've said, I am trying to get you out of the stress hamster wheel, and that only comes if we break the pattern. James Clear helped us understand in Atomic Habits that if we made incremental changes day after day, week over week, those build on each other. We literally have exponential opportunities if we build one thing after another, 1 week after another. Remember earlier when I talked about just do one personal priority this next week. If you lock that in and the next week come back, you add another personal priority, notice how that builds. The same is true with our relationship with time. So we are intentionally inserting a reflection step into your week, and it's so simple. Ask yourself this question. In light of my highest sustainable pace, what should I keep doing? What should I start doing? And what should I stop doing? It's that easy. This might take 5 minutes or less in your weekly planning meeting. You might say, I'm going to start working out every morning because I need to get a workout in to be at my best. Or you might say, you know what, I'm going to limit checking my email to just whirlwind time because it is robbing my ability to focus. Or I'm going to start shutting my door so when I'm working on a task, I can make that task happen and then open my door back up when I'm done with that task. Whatever it is, notice the things that I'm sharing. They are small, incremental changes. Your goal is to be incrementally better next week so you can be exponentially better 6 months from now. It's really that easy. Okay. We are off and running on a weekly planning meeting. We've reflected on our week. Now we're going to dump what needs to be done. We've already established your backlog, and we've already established that's where you're going to put the one-time tasks that are going to compete for your time. When it comes to this step, you're just taking a quick mental inventory to say, is there anything else there that I need to get into my backlog? Again, our goal is to not manage things in our head. It's to push things into the system and allow the system to manage it for us. So how does that look? So here I'm back in my backlog, and I might just add one more task. I'm thinking to myself, is there anything else there I need to get out? And I remember I need to update my strategic plan. Again, I am just trying to get things out of my head and into the system because in subsequent steps, we're going to prioritize this list. Remember, when it comes to adding things to your backlog, you do not have to get pristine to-do items written down. Just get literally mental blobs out of your head and on paper where you know what you mean. In a second, we're going to update these tasks to be much more manageable where you can make them happen. Okay, we reflected on our week. We dumped what needs to be done, got everything out of our head and into the system. Now we're going to decide what to do. The question I want to ask you is, what needs to happen next week that is aligned to your goals and values? My guess is you reflect on that, you're going to stay milestones for projects or critical meetings or an important report that you need to get done or that big presentation. You're not going to say, I'm just going to check email all week long, or I'm just going to be in my messages all week long, or I'm going to leave my door open and just be interrupted with whatever comes through the door. Why? Because those aren't actually your priorities. Those aren't the things that advance your goals and values. You see, we need sober moments away from the noise where we can stop and reflect and say, what is actually aligned to my goals and values? What do I need to actually make happen that's going to make an impact? The alternative, and what we often do, is we simply punt to our future self, right? We hope that sucker figures it out. And the challenge is that's actually incredibly stressful. Every time we come back to our to-do list, we are dealing with trade-offs because we feel the weight of the things we're not doing. We may pick number 1, but we feel the weight of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the things we're not doing. Sometimes I describe them as the children that I'm not feeding, right? They hurt because we know if we don't get to those items, it's going to hurt me or it's going to hurt someone that I care about. I'm not saying that prioritizing your weekly planning meeting is going to be easy. In fact, this might be the most stressful part of your week because you do have to deal with the trade-offs. You are simply saving your future self from having to do the same. Okay, so we're jumping into Asana, and what does it look like? How do we prioritize? Well, my encouragement to you is you would use a very simple prioritization technique, and it's called force ranking. That means there can be no ties. You have to decide what's most important. So the first thing I would encourage you to do is just drag things up or down that are going to be important this week. Get things near the top that are going to be important this week that you know you have to do no matter what. You're just getting items to the top. It doesn't mean you're going to do them. You're just getting them near the top. Now we're going to force rank. What you do when you force rank is you simply bring whatever context you have this week. Remember, this is a weekly planning meeting. You're doing this once a week. Whatever context you have this week, that's how you're going to prioritize. So you might say, make sales calls, fix PTO policy, it stinks. Notice, I am just comparing 1 versus 2. That's it. Well, I know, I'm just going to give you my context. I need to make some sales calls. That's the most important number I'm responsible for. That's number 1. PTO policy has stunk for a while. I'm just going to leave it there. Again, we're not making these pristine to-do items yet. We're just prioritizing. Okay, that's 1 versus 2. 2 versus 3. Fix PTO policy. It stinks. AI, what should I do about it? Well, I know I need to do something about AI. That's more important than the PTO policy. I've been pushing it off forever. I know I'm getting left behind on that. I need to make some things happen, or maybe my boss is asking me to work on that, or our investors are asking me to work on it. Whoever, someone has told me that that's important. I'm going to move it there. I'm not going to move it above as sales calls. That's how important I think it is. Okay, 3 versus 4. Fix PTO policy. It stinks. Hire for new director role. Well, that new director role I need to hire is a sales director. I don't want to make sales calls anymore. I know I got to move that forward. I'm going to drag that all the way to the very top. That's the number 1 priority. So notice I'm just working my way down the list, revealing what my priorities are. Notice what's happening. Fix PTO policy. It stinks is dropping like a rock. And that's real. I'm revealing what my actual priority is as I do that. And that's the process that we're trying to go through. Again, in a sober moment in your weekly planning meeting, we're making this decision. Doesn't mean I'm not going to work on that this week, but I am figuring out where does it actually sit in my priority list. Okay, we reflected on our week. We dumped what needs to be done. We got it out of our head into a system. We decided what to do. We now have a backlog that is in priority order, aligned to our goals and values. You might say, Andrew, thank you very much. I've been prioritizing a to-do list since I was in high school. I get it. We're not done yet. The next steps are critical. Next, we have to decide how to do it. Here's what your brain wants. Your brain wants a task list that is manageable with a clear definition of done. It wants to take action and see a result. It wants to know what it's focused on, check it off, and feel great about that. I prioritized at the very top, hire a new director role. That is a pretty hairy task, not very manageable. It has somewhat of a definition of done, but there's a lot of tasks that have to happen to get there. I describe these like running a marathon without mile markers. It's really hard to know if you're making progress. So what do we do instead? Often when we see things like this, we will abandon the list for the easy items on our list. Or we'll abandon the list for our email inboxes or messages or text messages or phone calls, or we'll leave our door open because we know how to handle those things, right? Someone sends me an email, I know how to reply to it, and I know how to make my unread count on my inbox go down. Your unread count on your inboxes are the greatest detractors to productivity in the Western world. There may be important things in there, but often we abandon ourselves to them simply because we want to feel like we're making progress, that we're taking action and we're seeing a result. So what do we do instead? Well, we're going to take something like hire a new director role, and we're going to do this. I'm going to write a job description, and I think that's going to take about an hour. And I'm going to get feedback from a teammate, and I think that's going to take about an hour. Notice what we're doing. We're creating mile markers for the marathon. I know how to write a job description, and I know I can defend an hour on my calendar. We've already established you've got all kinds of things on your calendar that you defend all the time that are an hour long. They're called meetings. You're simply doing the same thing with your priorities. Notice what we're doing. We're creating mile markers for the marathon. A couple things I'll call out here. One is, as I've mentioned, these are manageable with a clear definition of done. They got a 1 to 2 hour estimate, meaning you can defend those on your calendar. 2, you'll notice you don't have to do all these this week. In fact, it's very likely you're only going to do the top 2 this week. Those are the things you're going to get done. You may also notice you can actually delegate some of these. As you break this down, as you do this breakdown, you realize you don't even have to do all the tasks here. And we're going to talk later about how powerful delegation can be in freeing up time for you. So again, the step here is to make these tasks manageable and define done. Now, a couple thoughts. One is, you can actually do this with the help of AI. So I have ChatGPT open here, and notice my prompt. Please help me break down this task into 1 to 2 hour tasks that are manageable and help me feel like I'm making progress, that each has a clear definition of done. And I put hire a new director role in there. The output should be the task written with a clear definition of done with the time estimate after it in parentheses. So I'll go ahead and submit that. And right there, ChatGPT is going to give me the breakdown that I need. Now, again, just like with anything in AI, you need to curate and edit, make sure you got the thing that you need. But if you struggle with this step in particular, AI can be incredibly helpful. The good news is, here I'm back in Asana, you'll notice you can do this directly in Asana. So here is hire a new director role, and you'll notice I've created those subtasks here directly in Asana. That's going to be true whether you're in Microsoft To Do or Google Tasks as well. That's available there as well. Okay. We reflected on our week. We dumped what needs to be done. We got it out of our head into a system. We decided what to do. We prioritized that list. We decided how to do it. We broke the tasks down to make them manageable with a clear definition of done. Those 1 to 2 hour tasks that our brain's going to love to check off. Now we need to decide when to do it. There are 168 hours in the week. 168. That's it. I can't give you more time. I wish I could. And you might be sitting there thinking, man, I just wish I had more time. You really don't, believe me. I'd actually like to reframe this. It's not 168 hours, it's 168 choices. And you are in the business of making choices with your time. The results that you're getting and your experience of life are a direct function of those choices. And where are those choices represented? But here on our calendar. These are our choices. And so if you want to change your experience of life and you want to change the results you're getting, we have to change the things that make it to your calendar. And that's what we're about to do now. Okay, we're going to decide when to do it. Based off what you've done so far, this is actually a pretty easy step, and it's all going to happen on your calendar. So I'm on my calendar now, and when I'm coming to this step, the first thing I want to do is do a quick run through of the things we went through earlier. First, I'm going to ask myself, are my personal priorities on the calendar? Again, lifelines, not luxuries. I want to make sure I have the fuel I need to make incredible work happen this week. Next, I'm going to make sure that my recurring tasks are there. Are there any additional recurring tasks that need to get added for my calendar to reflect reality? Finally, I'm going to ask, do I have whirlwind in place? Have I budgeted time for those unknown tasks that I know are coming for me? Once I've done that, it's time for me to add those one-time tasks from my backlog to my calendar. Now, remember where we are in the weekly planning process. You've got everything out of your head and into your backlog. You've prioritized this list. You've broken down these tasks to make them manageable with a clear definition of done. Now we're simply moving in order from your backlog to your calendar. So how does that look? So here I have hire for new director role. I'm going to grab write a job description, and I'm going to go to my calendar. And remember, I had this slot at the very beginning of the day I added. I'm going to add that right there. Write a job description. Great. Now I'm going to go back to my backlog. I'm going to add get feedback from a teammate. Now this one might take a little bit of time. I know they're available in the afternoon, so I check their calendar, and I'm going to add it right there, and maybe I send an invite. I'm going to go back to my backlog, Post a job description to Indeed and LinkedIn. I'm actually going to delegate that to someone else, so I don't need to work on that. And the rest of these, I don't need to work on this week, right? I've got to get this role out there, and I'm going to start accepting applications. So I have moved this top priority as far forward as it's going to go this week, all on Monday, which is great. And it can just now sit in my backlog until next week. Now, next I'm going to grab make sales calls, and I wrote I want to do this 1 hour 5 times. So I want to do this 5 times this week. I'm going to go back to my calendar, and I'm just looking for slots. So I'm going to add it right there. And I'm going to add it right here. Now notice what just happened. Monday's completely full. There's no more time. I decided how much I wanted to work. I got my recurring tasks in there, my personal priorities in there. I got Whirlwind in there. I've added as many items from my backlog as I can, and it's full. Now, you might look at this and say, there's no way. There's so much more that I have to get done, and that's okay. We're going to deal with that on the next step. What's most important right now is we are getting your available time to match reality. We are working with your actual capacity and getting it aligned to your goals and values. Notice what we're doing as we go through this process. Your calendar will become the real-time expression of your goals and values. It will be aligned to the things that are most important to you, that will have the highest impact on the results that you're trying to get. But again, not all of it's going to fit. And we're going to deal with that in the very next step. All right, we've reflected on our week. We dumped what needs to be done, got it out of our head and into a system. We decided what to do and prioritize that backlog to match our goals and values. We decided how to do it, and we broke down those tasks to be manageable with a clear definition of done. We decided when to do it. We got our calendar to reflect reality. Obviously, it's not all going to fit. Now we have to decide what to do with what doesn't fit. You remember, we've already established that the items on our to-do list are like the room next door is on fire, and nowhere is that more true than the items we know we absolutely can't get to. Most people stop here. They might try to realistically plan, but then these items sit on their subconscious all week long, even though they know they're never going to get to them. What I want you to do is I want you to systematically work through those items, give them a commitment plan so that you can be fully present and fully focused to the items that are in front of you. Okay, what are your options here? First option you might love, and that's deferring. Here's the beauty of the system that you've created. You have a backlog for your one-time tasks. It is long living. When you come back to your backlog next week, it is still going to be there. If you can defer a task, if you can look at the items that didn't make it to your calendar and say, can that wait until next week? You can simply defer it. You are going to run a weekly planning meeting again where you can go through and make sure that item gets to your calendar. Future you has more time. Let's let future you take care of that one. Next, can you delegate it? Do you have people in your world that you can delegate tasks to? If so, delegation is an incredible strategy to do so. Again, you don't have to do everything on your list. Other people have time as well on their calendar. Simple rule of thumb here is if someone can do it 70% as well as you, you should delegate it. And you may say, man, a 70% deliverable is a pretty crappy deliverable. I'm not sure about that. Well, let me show you how to navigate that. The way I'd recommend navigating that is a system called 10-80-10. This was made famous by John Maxwell. Also, Dan Martell in his book, Buy Back Your Time, referenced this system. 10-80-10. Here's what you do. In the first 10%, you are going to set that person up for success. So if this is a 10-hour task, this means you are taking an hour, getting an hour to your calendar to really set that person up for success. Make them a video, write them a document, meet with them and walk them through what's expected of them so they have a lot of clarity of what you're trying to get to. That means they're going to do 80% of the work. If that's a 10-hour task, they're doing 8 hours of the work. That's 8 hours of the work that's not on your calendar. Now, most people stop here. They get that 70% deliverable back from someone. They say, this is not good work. And they say in their heart, I'm never going to delegate again. If I want a job done right, I got to do it myself. Whatever we tell ourselves, right? And we just keep working and we keep it on ourselves. This last 10% is so important. You have to inspect what you expect. You need to come back to that person. And again, in 10-80-10, this is an hour. That means you're sitting with them and you're helping them understand what they did well. And you're helping them understand what needs to improve to get that deliverable to 100%. You might even help them do it over the course of that hour to get a deliverable you need. And here's what happens. 1, you got a ton of time back. 2, you develop your people. The reason why they're not able to do it at 100% like you is because they haven't had the experience. You're giving them a rep at it and you're helping develop them through the process. So I encourage you to delegate it if you can. Next, can you digitize it? Can you automate it or could an AI help you do it? We already saw an example of where an AI can simplify a task for us earlier. Digitizing is very similar to delegating. You have to prompt well, right? You need to have good requirements and you need to curate and edit whatever you get back. But digitizing can definitely save you time as well. Can you downsize it? This is particularly true of recurring tasks. Often we'll say, hey, that meeting takes an hour, and so every single week we give that meeting an hour. Or I do one-on-ones weekly, and so every single week we do a one-on-one. The question I would ask you is, can I reduce the time or frequency of this task and get the same value? There's a principle called Parkinson's law that says a task will fill the time that we give it. If you say it's going to take an hour, it's going to take an hour. If you say it's going to take 2 hours, it's going to take 2 hours. That means you have the opportunity to downsize that if possible. Again, ask that question, can I downsize this task and still get the same amount of value? Next, do you just need to delete that task? Do you have items that you have dragged through time that someone asked you months ago to do? My guess is if you go back to that person and ask them if it's still a priority, they've probably figured it out. They probably got that task met some other way. Or maybe you just have too many things on your plate and you do need to prune. You do need to delete to allow you to focus. Obviously, get anyone involved in that decision, you need to get involved. But sometimes deleting it is the best commitment plan you can have. I'm just getting this off my list. We're not going to think about it anymore. We're going to focus over here on these items. Last thing, nobody likes this. Sometimes we just have to do it, right? I said earlier, I want to work 50 hours a week. Sometimes I have to work 55. Sometimes I have to work 60. When I have a promise or a commitment, that's when I choose this option. If you don't have a promise or commitment, my encouragement is to look at the other items, the other options that are here. But if you have a promise or commitment, my encouragement is just to do it. The power here is you are deciding to do this in your weekly planning meeting. You're not getting punched in the face on Tuesday evening when you realize you're going to have to open up your laptop and work late again. You see it coming. And then you can reach out to the stakeholders in your life. When I know I'm going over, my first call is to my wife, Kelly. And I say, Kelly, I know I got to put in 10 more hours next week. When is the time when that will have the least impact on the family? Should I work late a couple nights? Should I work in the evenings after the kids go to bed? Would it make sense for me just to put Saturday towards this task? Notice what I'm doing. I'm getting ahead of it and I am choosing it. Now, if this is happening every single week, that's a capacity issue. And you might need to look, have I said yes to too many things? Do I need to downsize? Do I need to delegate? There may be other opportunities that you need to take if this is happening week over week over week. Here's the power of this. As I mentioned, you set sail in your week with a bunch of things that don't fit, that you don't deal with. The story you're going to tell yourself is stress. You are going to feel that all week long. Again, that idea of children we're not feeding. You're just going to feel the weight, like the room next door is on fire. But if you run a weekly planning meeting like this and you delegate and you defer, even if you decide to do it, you decide to work more than you had intended because you choose it and because you get ahead of it with the stakeholders in your life, the story that you tell yourself is going to be one of peace. This is such a critical step. I can't encourage you enough to take time here and really do this well each week. Okay, we are rounding out our weekly planning meeting. We reflected on our week. You dumped what needs to be done, got it out of your head and into a system. You decided what to do. You prioritized that backlog based off your goals and values. You decided how to do it. You made the task manageable, clear definition of done. You decided when to do it. You made sure your calendar reflected your personal priorities, your recurring tasks. You've got whirlwind there. Now you've got those prioritized one-time tasks from your backlog. Without fail, it's not all going to fit. So you decided what to do with what doesn't fit so those don't become emotional anchors that rob you all week long of your ability to focus. Now it is time to commit to the plan. Again, this entire thing is worthless if we don't commit. The great news is we can actually increase your commitment to follow through on this plan. Let me show you how. First, we need to sanity check your plan. The first question to ask is, will I have enough time? You see, up until now, your subconscious was sabotaging you. As you were making hours estimates, you knew the bigger those estimates, the less things would fit on your calendar. So you actually were shrinking your estimates, or you were shrinking your whirlwind to try to shove more things into your calendar. This is just a moment to be honest with yourselves. Make sure that there's enough time. Make sure that you have enough whirlwind. 2, will you have enough energy? So we were going straight from our backlog to our calendar. You might have added a thing after lunch that's going to create a ton of focus, and you know after lunch your energy might be low, or you might have, you've got a big lunch with a client and you're not going to be able to focus that hour. Remember time trading. Just move those items around. Find the right time for an item where you're going to have enough energy. If you don't know how your energy flows, my encouragement is just pay attention this week. And when you reflect on your week in next week's weekly planning meeting, you can make adjustments related to energy then if you like. Next, I actually want you to send your priorities to someone. Here's the deal. When you send your priorities to someone, it doubles your commitment to follow through and actually make them happen. Why? Because we rise to the level of expectations of others. We don't want to disappoint them. So making people aware is a powerful process to help us get committed to our goals. The other is it's a great way to get feedback. You see, up until now, this weekly planning meeting has been this little secret you've been running, right? You don't know, did I make good decisions? Did I make bad decisions? Am I over planning, under planning, whatever? This is a chance to get feedback. My encouragement is to share someone with context of your world that's going to keep you on the hook. They might say, hey, you prioritize way too many things. There's no way you're going to get this done. Are there things that we can defer to make these priorities happen? Or they might say, hey, I saw you deferred that particular item. You've been talking about that for weeks. Why don't you move that up into your priorities and move something else down? Whatever they tell you, getting feedback from another rational human will increase your commitment to that plan and your commitment to follow through. Definitely encourage you to share your priorities with someone. Here's the last thought I'll give you on commitment. At the end of the day, you are going to get the life that you choose, or you're going to get the life that you tolerate. This is a moment for you to just have a wholehearted commitment to go get the life that you choose, aligned to your goals and values. Don't settle for the life that you'll simply tolerate, for the life that simply comes at you. All right, we have just completed our first weekly planning meeting. We reflected on our week. We dumped what needs to be done, got it out of our head and into a system. We decided what to do. We prioritized our backlog aligned to our goals and values. We decided how to do it. We made those tasks manageable with a clear definition of done. We decided when to do it. We got our calendar to reflect reality. Obviously, it's not all going to fit, so we decided what to do with what doesn't fit. Finally, we committed the plan to increase our likelihood of following through on this plan that we want to make happen, to get the results that we want, and to do it without overwhelm. Obviously, it's going to go exactly as you planned, right? No way, not even a little. We have got to brace for impact. Okay, let's simulate a Monday together that shows you what happens when unknown tasks start crashing into your day and are trying to distract you from that plan you created. So here on my left, I have my calendar. Remember, these are the items that are aligned to my goals and values, the plan I committed to that I want to make happen. And on the right, I have my parking lot. You remember our parking lot is part of our commitment plan for unknown tasks as they're coming at us. Now, as it relates to my day, I simply want to run my day the way I architected it. So you can see here at 8 a.m., I wanted to write a job description. So I'm going to treat this again, just like a meeting, just like the president of the United States is showing up with me. And again, you pick your president. So I'm going to sit down and make that happen. So what do I need to do? Maybe I need to shut my door. Maybe I need to go on do not disturb mode. I just want to be able to focus the best I can on that task. And even that may not work, as we'll see here in a second. So we'll go ahead and get started, and I'm writing a job description. And I mentioned earlier, let's say Steve on my team calls me around 8:30, and Steve says, hey, I need to talk to you today. I say, no problem. Can I call you after 3? Remember, I've got Whirlwind then. I know I can call him after 3. He says, yeah, as long as we talk today, that's great. So I put call Steve after 3 p.m. Great. So notice what I did. Since I put it on my parking lot, I don't have to worry about it. I know I'm going to be able to take care of it later, and I can stay focused on writing the job description. Now I'm dropping into Whirlwind. Remember, Whirlwind is my time to be available. So I'll check my email, check my phone calls. I might walk around and talk to my team, open up my door, whatever. I'm allowing the chaos to come in, but I'm allowing that to happen at specific times. Now, it's not always going to go that way, but at least right now it is. Let's say as I'm about to wrap up Whirlwind, I know I need to start making these sales calls. Sarah on my team says, hey, I've got marketing emails going out tomorrow. I've got to have you look at them today. I say, no problem. Can I get back to you after 3? She's like, yeah, that's great. As long as it's today. I say, great. So get back to Sarah after 3 p.m. on marketing emails. Again, I could absolutely stop and just help Sarah, but I'm trying to stay committed to my plan. I'm trying to stay committed to the tasks that are aligned to my goals and values. So I start making those sales calls. I do an hour of sales calls, drop back into Whirlwind. I'm triaging email. I'm looking at phones. I'm walking around. I'm talking to my team. Let's say I get a little bit of time and I actually get back to Sarah on that task during Whirlwind. So I'm just going to go ahead and check it off. Remember, parking lot and Whirlwind are tied together. That's where I tackle the items that are in my parking lot. All right, I'm about to make sales calls. And let's say a critical system goes down that I'm responsible for. And I might say, you know what? I'm so sorry. I've got sales calls on my calendar. I can't help with that critical system. Of course I can't say that, right? I've got to become available. This is where time trading becomes my key and where I love Whirlwind. Whirlwind helps me recover from that. So I'm going to make sales calls, and I'm just going to time trade and drag that down into Whirlwind. I'm going to handle that later in Whirlwind. I planned ahead. Remember, I budgeted for unknown tasks. I made a commitment plan for unknown tasks, so I have time to deal with that. And I'm just going to add this system down right here on my calendar just so we can see it. Now, I knocked that task out. Coming up to lunch, remember, I made lunch as a lifeline. That's a personal priority for me. That's a lifeline I want to have. I know I need it, especially after the system went down. That was super stressful. I need a second to unwind. Let's say I get a call from my CEO, and my CEO says, hey, I need a sales report today and I need an analytics report by the end of the week. I say, okay, could I just get, as long as it's end of the day, right? And he's like, yeah, end of the day. I say, great. So sales report to CEO by end of day, and analytics report to CEO by end of week. And I take my lunch. I actually take that lunch and I recharge myself. I help my brain refresh for the afternoon. I have an analytics review meeting. I complete that analytics review meeting. I get feedback from the CEO and the VP. Let's say that goes faster than I thought, and I get 30 minutes back. I'm going to start those sales calls a little bit earlier, knock out my sales calls. Now I'm into Whirlwind, and when I get to Whirlwind, I'm just trying to work my list, right? So I'm going to do that sales report for the CEO first by end of the day today. And then I'm going to call Steve back. While I'm working on that, my CTO calls and says, hey, there's an issue with the website, that portion that you're responsible for. And I say, okay, no problem. When do you need that done by? And he's like, as long as we get it fixed by end of next week, we'll be good. So I say, okay, CTO fix on website by end of next week. Now I could have just worried about that, right? It could have just been stuck in my head. I'm going to put it in my parking lot and I'm going to show you what to do with that. I don't have to work on that today, right? It's not due today. So here we are. I've come to the end of my whirlwind, had time for email, had time for phone calls, had time for last minute requests, had time for a system issue going down, and I was able to navigate my day because of Whirlwind. Whirlwind was how I made a commitment plan for those unknown tasks I knew was coming at me. Now I've got a couple items left on my parking lot. What do I do with those? This is where I want to bring you to the final time boss habit, your daily review meeting. Remember, your daily review meeting is a 15-minute meeting that happens at the end of your workday. It's how you stay committed to your plan and how you close down your day. So when it comes to your daily review meeting, the first thing you want to do is close the loops. So if we go back to our parking lot, we've got a couple loops open. I've got this analytics report by the end of the week, and I've got a CTO fix on website by end of next week. So I want to close those loops. So let's start with the analytics report. Well, it needs to happen this week. What do I know I have later in the week but Whirlwind? I budgeted for these things. So I'm simply going to add that item directly to my calendar in Whirlwind tomorrow. And I'm going to take care of it, which means I can close the loop here. It doesn't have to be on my parking lot anymore. It's on my calendar. I have a commitment plan for it. I know I'm going to follow through and work on that tomorrow. I don't have to worry about it anymore. Now, this other one, CTO fix on a website by end of next week. What do I know I'm going to do before next week? I'm going to run a weekly planning meeting, which means I can figure out where I'm going to get this done in my week next week. I'm going to grab that item and I'm going to go to my backlog and I'm simply going to add it to my backlog, knowing that before next week, I'm going to run a weekly planning meeting again where I'll deal with that item and I'll figure out where to fit it into my week. I am at the end of my day and all the loops are closed. Nothing is in my head. It's either in the parking lot, it's in my calendar, or it's in the backlog. That's it. And I've emptied the parking lot, so it's just now my calendar and the backlog. Next, I want to reflect. You'll see I have a very high opinion on reflecting. You don't have to solve the problem. You just need to know a next step. What you're trying to do is to keep yourself from ruminating all night long. Maybe you skipped your focus items all day long and you were in your email all day. Let this be a backstop to say, hey, tomorrow I'm just going to check my email during Whirlwind time. Or maybe you skipped your workout this morning and just checked your email, right? Maybe you say, tomorrow I'm going to make sure I get that workout in. Just do a brief reflection. Make that tiny adjustment, whatever you need to make. Save yourself from ruminating all night long. Sometimes that's all it takes. Last thing, and this is the easiest one, you want to commit again. This is as simple as going back to your calendar and just reminding yourself of the good plan you've created. I'm going to look at Tuesday and I see I got to work out, I got to make some sales calls, get feedback, one-on-one team meeting follow-up, lunch, one-on-one with Sarah. I've got that analytics report to the CEO by end of the week. And that's my day and some Whirlwind. I'm simply reminding myself that I have a good plan. This helps my brain shut down. Helps me not worry all night long about what I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm simply reminding myself that my time boss made a great plan that I get to go run tomorrow. It's really that simple. You can even make adjustments here if needed. If there's things that you need to change about tomorrow, now is a great time to do it. Again, you want to close down the day committed and ready to roll tomorrow. Notice what just happened. You had a frenetic day. Tons of interruptions, but your 3 tools helped hold those details for you so you could stay fully focused to the thing in front of you. And at the end of the day, you closed all the loops, you can shut your laptop, close your door, and go home and actually rest and recover. So those are the 2 time boss habits. Your weekly planning meeting is that time boss time where you're making a realistic plan for your future self to run, where you're setting them up for success. Your daily review meeting is a 15-minute meeting happening at the end of your workday that helps you close down your day, stay committed to your plan, and actually rest and recover to be able to come back and do it all again tomorrow. With those 2 simple simple habits, you now have the recipe to find your highest sustainable pace. So that's the framework. It's literally that simple. This is the recipe that leaders have used to get the results that we reviewed earlier. 30% plus increase in productivity, 4 hours back a week, and pretty much everyone's stress decreases, peace increases on top of those productivity results that they saw. Peace and progress is absolutely possible. You can get the results that you want without overwhelm. Does it mean it's always going to be easy? No. There are 4 major blockers that you're up against. The first is environment, everything happening around you. How do you set up your environment for success? The other is relationships. People have learned to operate with you a certain way, and you are going to have to help train them to operate with you a different way. Next is systems. Do the systems you have around you help you focus, or are they breaking down and taking from that focus time that you desperately need? And finally, yourself. Sometimes we are the reason we don't follow through on our plans. Sometimes there's more going on inside of us that we have to work through to help us be fully committed to the plans in front of us. And you're going to have to work through these 4 blockers to help you find your highest sustainable pace. So what's the key for you? Start small, but absolutely start. Take something from this presentation and apply it in your life this week. Remember, you can grab any portion of the Time Boss framework and start adding it to your world. Each is a piece of the recipe to help you find your highest sustainable pace. If you've made it this far, my guess is you really want this change, and you are ready to get the life that you choose. You are ready to win at work and at home. You are ready to operate with peace, freedom, and clarity, not stress, fear, and anxiety. You're ready to shut down your laptop at the end of the day, close the door, go home and be fully present to the rest of your world after doing incredible work, contributing all day long to the things that you care about. Well, what's at risk if you don't do this? Well, I already mentioned you're going to get the life that you tolerate. You're going to go at least one more round on that stress hamster wheel. It's going to impact your health. It's going to impact your relationships, and eventually it's going to come from the very results that you desperately want. You will be one day closer to burnout and all the costs that come with that. I care about you, friend. I care about your contribution. I care about your health. I care about your relationships. I know what is possible when you get your relationship with time right, and I want that for you. Change is absolutely possible. You could be just weeks away from getting the results that you want without overwhelm, from getting your relationship with time right. You are either going to get the life that you choose or the life that you tolerate. My strong encouragement is for you to choose it.
If you're watching this and you think, this sounds incredible, I want this, but I know I can't do it alone, or I know my team can't do it alone, that's where Time Boss comes in. Please click the link below to schedule time with me for us to have a conversation about how I might support you or support your team. We can look at educational events like keynotes or workshops. We can help with implementation in ongoing meetings or group coaching, or we can even look at longer-term engagements to really drive transformation for your organization. I would love to connect with you to talk about that further. There is enough time, and I would like to help you or your team experience that for yourself.